What's up guys, Michael Bancroft here, back for another question and answer video. Today we got one from RJ from Critical Blast, where he asked, okay, how can you then determine that someone is not Comicsgate even when they declare that they are? And to answer this, I guess the first thing you got to go to is, well, what does it actually mean to be CG? Or more to the point, what is expected of someone who is CG, expected from fans and other creators? And I like to keep that as fundamental as possible. That's my personal preference. And it's just, you've got a respect for the fans that support what you're doing, and no woke content. You can call that anti-SJW. You can say it however you want, but it's essentially, Comicsgate is an answer to the woke. Others have said it's lots of other different things, and it goes back to lots of different reasons. You know, they follow different YouTube channels, different creators. They have different focuses on what they're doing. Some people say, well, you should be timely in what you're putting out, or Comicsgate means high quality in art and writing. People have wildly different opinions on that. Some people say Comicsgate is about putting out premium product, or having traditional values, or not having any politics whatsoever in the books. These sorts of things, in my opinion, have caused a lot of division in CG. A lot of that internal drama comes about when you've got, a group of people who say CG is this, a group of people who say CG is that. They go at each other, and we've lost a lot of people along the way based on these sort of ideological ideas, and even entire groups of people, because they just couldn't see eye to eye with whatever was happening in CG at the time. And then on the flip side, you've also got people who've been very critical of Comicsgate in the past, who have, for whatever reason, maybe they've seen the light, or they just realized they were fighting an uphill battle. They've decided, you know what, I'm going to actually concede here, although I was CG before, and I'm going to come back and try and get back in and promote to the network again. And that's an ongoing debate as to whether or not those people should be sort of welcomed back in. And again, there have been big dramatic flame wars over whether or not some people should be allowed back, or all that sort of stuff. My opinion is, I think there always should, within reason, almost always, should be a possibility for a redemption arc. Yeah, sure, what we say and do definitely should have consequences. That's just life. But if we start blacklisting people and say, you did this, or you said this 2 or 3 years ago, therefore you are out for good, and you're blacklisted, there's no way you can possibly come back into CG. To me, that smacks of cancel culture, and that is in direct opposition to one of my sort of fundamental values that I think CG holds, which is we are against wokeness, and cancel culture is wokeness. But in 2022, Comicsgate is very attractive, especially to new indie creators who are, they have nothing to lose. They're new. If they come out as CG, it's not as if they're going to lose their job at Marvel, because they were never going to get hired by Marvel in the first place. That's all closed down now. So, yeah, it is very attractive to a whole bunch of new people here. They're seeing the money that's being made here, and they want to come in and get a piece of that. And I don't blame them. If I just heard of Comicsgate today, I'd probably want to do the same thing. But then, so that leads to the question, okay, so are people just now declaring CG, but not really accepting anything else other than they're just saying it to help their comics raise a bit more money? It's very hard to tell sometimes, especially when a creator stays behind an avatar, anonymous. You don't know their name, can't see their face. Some of them very rarely even go on to streams. So in that case, yeah, it is hard to sort of ascertain why exactly they want to hang around in CG, why they want to say that they're Comicsgate for any reason other than they just hope to make a little bit more money. But look, my view is I'm going to take Pitbull's word on the face of it when I meet them for the first time, and then wait to see if they give me any reason to doubt them after that. I know a lot of you are stricter. A lot of you are like, no, I have rules. It's this, this, and this, and that's fine. You do you. This is me. This is my thinking. You know, I've always thought that we should be looking out and expanding, and not constricting ourselves too much. But at the same time, we've seen many fandoms, groups, communities, whatever you want to call them, be overrun by, how could you word it? You know, people who are less than scrupulous. Let's put it like that. But you know, with these sorts of people, you can, you know, you look at their behavior, look at what they're saying, you look at what they're doing. How often do you see them around? Are they in the chats? Are they commenting on videos? Are they on Twitter? A good one for me, when someone approaches me and I want to sort of get a measure of them, is I check their Twitter feed, if they have one, and see how often they're promoting others. That's usually a pretty good sign of where they're sort of at, like how they're coming into this. More concerning signs are anyone displaying any sort of sense of entitlement. That's a massive red flag for me. A lesser red flag, because I understand that, you know, people have daylight, you know, they have day jobs, they have lives outside. They're not necessarily really good at social media. So, you know, maybe they're not out there promoting others, or I don't see them around that much, but that just might be because they just haven't really figured out social media. But still, when people only ever appear when they need support, you know, when they've got a book to sell and then they disappear, you don't see them again for another year, that's another little red flag for me. Number one red flag is any kind of sympathy whatsoever to woke culture, wokeness, anything. Or, you know, sometimes you'll see them, you know, they're sort of they'll be on a stream and a topic will get a little bit spicy. I'm not asking them to come out and go to war, but, you know, if the topic comes up and people start talking about what's been going on in the mainstream, well, you know, all the SJW nonsense, and they just sit there quietly. I noticed that, and that does give me pause. But you know, you can kind of tell. Do they look like they're really excited about finding Comicsgate? They're like, wow, this is incredible. And then you can sort of get a measure that is this something that they want to really kind of help build, you know, help improve? Do they have anything that they can add to it? Any kind of expertise? We've seen lots of guys who come into CG who have their own expertise that we didn't have in here before. We didn't have guys who knew how to do this and do that and get all that done. And now we have loads of people who can help with pretty much anything that we need to do. And they're the sort of people that, you know, I think are the best new inclusions to Comicsgate. So, you know, I notice that people are just, you know, if it's just exclusively about them and their book, that might be a little sign that they're not really wanting to get involved in the sort of more networking and community side of what CG is up to. But again, as I said, the reason why I'm probably a bit more chill about this than a lot of others is because I do think we can't be insular. You know, people will come into this and then they'll just sort of drop off. It's a natural, you know, life happens and interests wane. So we do have to constantly be finding new fans and new creators to come in and be a part of what we're doing here. So I've never prescribed to the idea that we should be tone policing each other, getting into sort of, you know, you've seen it all before, purity spiraling, canceling each other, or this guy isn't CG enough, and all that sort of stuff. I think that's awful. That would be the death of Comicsgate if that were to take hold. And it almost did take hold a few years back, and thankfully we avoided that fate. So that's, yeah, like I said, I like to keep it as fundamental as possible. Are you respecting the fans, and are you just telling stories? You know, you're not pushing some sort of woke agenda. That's pretty much all I require to sort of, you know, go hand in hand with you along in CG. Maybe not literally hand in hand, but you know what I mean. And anyway, I get this concern, you know, this kind of comes up a little bit amongst creators, and actually, you know, amongst everyone, fans, you know, they wonder, like, am I getting grifted here? Does this guy really share my values? I'm not actually, I don't actually see this issue as much of a problem as I think a lot of others do. Because I don't actually think that just coming out and declaring yourself and saying, hi, I'm Comicsgate, isn't necessarily going to earn you anything. Well, listen, it won't earn you automatic access to anything. It won't earn you automatic access to shows. It won't earn you backers automatically. You're still going to have to work for them. Your book is still going to have to be something special. You're still going to have to promote yourself. So I don't know if it's if it really matters as much as people think. What happens is, it's sort of, you know, all things considered, this guy has promoted himself heavily. He's got a great looking book. He doesn't really want to be labeled as CG. He just sort of wants to be adjacent, compared to this guy who is, you know, he's out there promoting CG, pushing other creators, really getting involved in the community, and also has the great book and has done a lot of promotion. That's where I think you see the difference. That's where you see the big successes of CG in there. But, you know, new people coming in, they've still got to work just as hard as everyone else to earn the support of the fans. And that is where it ultimately comes back to. And another reason why I'm not terribly worried about this is because we have the best BS detectors on the internet in the fans. These guys can sniff out a rat and at almost 100% accuracy. Sometimes it takes longer than others. Some hide it better than others, but no, these guys are the guys who can sniff out any issues, and ultimately they're the ones who decide. It's the fans who'll decide whether or not CG. I could get someone on a show and say, everyone, this guy is awesome, come back him. But if all the fans say, no, we don't like him, what I say means absolutely nothing. It's you guys out there who decide who is worthy of your patronage. You know, you vote with clicks on the videos. You vote with the time that you spend in live streams watching people. And you, of course, vote with your wallets on what books you want to support. And that's ultimately it. That's who decides who is CG, whether or not someone declares it. And that's all I got to say on the topic. So if you like this video, please give it a like, please subscribe to the channel. And if you have a question similar to this or something else, anything comic book related really, please leave it down there in the comment section. And that's it for me. Until next time. All right, bye.